Kia ora. Well, it was a bit of a wet day across the South Island yesterday. The 24 hours of the last satellite pictures and radar really helped to tell the story of what was happening yesterday. That cloud across the South Island, heavy rainfall on the western side, but then this clearer sky feeding back in behind it, and a cold night across the South Island last night. And as we head in towards the start of Friday, you can see that cloud across the top of the country, bringing more wet weather through there as well. That continues on its journey away. But that rainfall down on the western coast of the South Island built on top of an already very wet September across those far southern areas. In fact, if we look at somewhere like Milford Sound, you can see how much rain we've had so far this month. Around about 1,000 millimetres of rain in total, with rain pretty much recorded every single day this month, apart from the 14th. It was a dry day, just about. Every other day has had at least 0.1 millimetre of rainfall through there, but we had a good 90 odd millimetres of rainfall yesterday down through Milford Sound. And it's by far and away not the only spot across those southern areas which has seen more than its fair share of rainfall. Queenstown reported its wettest September already since about 1994, and still a few more days of the month to go. As we head in towards the weekend, though, things are looking much drier, not just in the south, but across many parts of New Zealand, thanks to that area of high pressure building across the Tasman Sea. We'll still have some pretty good southwesterlies as we head through the night time tonight, Friday and towards Saturday, and you can see that rain has cleared away, so some clearer skies back for many of us. So a colder and perhaps frosty start across those, well, many spots in New Zealand as we head in towards the early hours of Saturday. Places like Wairarapa, up in towards the central high country, Waikato, parts of Manawatu as well, and on the South Island, many areas through Canterbury and down towards Otago, down below freezing. So something to watch out for first thing tomorrow. But for the weekend, well, the story is one of high pressure. It continues to build across us, and for many of us, it keeps us dry and fine. We'll still have a bit of that southwesterly feed of air, which means that those areas exposed down towards the south and perhaps this western coast could still catch an isolated shower. But in terms of totals, not huge amounts through there. It's this far southeastern corner which will bear the brunt of those showers, I think. So places like Southland and Otago, pretty good wind still pushing through there, keeping those showers running through. But for many of us, it's a dry looking Saturday, and even through and towards Sunday, that high pressure continues to stay with us. It builds a little bit further across. We might find a touch more cloud just pushing on towards the western areas, but generally things are looking dry and relatively settled even as we go through Sunday and even through into Monday. That high pressure is still the key feature of the weather. Temperature wise, not as cold as we'll see over the next night or so, but I think we are looking at generally drier conditions. We're keeping an eye on this developing area of low pressure over the Tasman Sea for perhaps later in the week. But as we go through the weekend and in towards the first couple of days of next week, things generally looking a bit more settled. Starting to find that wet weather feeding back in towards Fjordland. But compared to the really unsettled spell of westerlies we've been having through August and September, this is at least the first couple of days of generally dry weather across most of New Zealand. With that in mind, looking at our rainfall totals, you can see there's not a huge amount on these charts. A lot of what you can see here in these yellows and oranges is the rain that's arrived very much in the very first part of the day on Friday. For most of the time as we head through Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, an odd shower around those western coasts and about the higher parts of the region. But for most of us, it's a dry looking story through the weekend and the start of next week. For the South Island, you can see that's predominantly dry as well. Plenty of those showers you can see just clipping the likes of Fjordland, Southland, Otago, Stewart Island. Perhaps one or two just making a glancing blow in towards Canterbury or around the likes of Buller. But for most of the time, it's a dry story, and those showers that should move through fairly quickly as well. Down the south, perhaps a few more for you around the Clutha, Balclutha area. Something to watch out for through the next couple of days. In terms of how things are going to pan out in terms of temperatures, we've got that cold air coming across us for Friday night into Saturday, so a cold, frosty morning. But as we head in towards next week, we start to find milder air back in from the Tasman Sea. So our temperatures actually probably coldest tonight. After that, I think we'll start to find things aren't looking as bad. And as we head in towards next week, we start to find a bit more in the way of milder air running back down towards those yellows and oranges. You can see, though, it doesn't take much for that switch in wind direction to bring some colder air back towards us. So it's still worth keeping in mind, even as we head through and towards October, which starts next week, we can still get those colder bursts coming back up and across us. So really, The forecast over the next few days is one of settled and dry weather. You can see on these charts, it's been a while since I've had so many sunny symbols across the charts here, even in towards the start of next week. Might start to find a few showers pushing in towards the west. Really those areas where the cloud starts to thicken up more than anything else, but even places like Palmerston North, I think, generally staying just about dry through there. A couple of cold nights to watch out for, that Monday night in towards Tuesday, 3s and 4s through some of those more central parts of Waikato. But generally, I think most of the time, it's a dry story. Even down on the South Island as well, you can see plenty of sunshine for Marlborough. Again, watching out for a couple of cold nights. 3 degrees Celsius, your minimum temperatures there in Blenheim. And then I think down in the far south, a cold night tonight, places like Alexandra, back down below freezing. I wouldn't think that's a shock to you, but we are going to be finding 2s and 3s perhaps as we head in towards next week, and then start to find that more unsettled weather as we head in towards Tuesday. Most of the heavy rainfall, I think, on end of Tuesday into Wednesday, really staying on the other side of Southland and towards Fiordland, but starting to become a bit more of a feature later on. Speaking of which, if we take a look further afield, you can see the high pressure we've had starts to pull away. Low pressure runs down towards us now. Sandwiched between these high pressures, it takes its time to clear away. It keeps this northerly feed of air in towards us, so I think we will find some wetter weather for Northland, Auckland, the Bay of Plenty, perhaps those areas of Nelson as well. Towards the end of next week, we start to find this second area of higher pressure building back towards us, but I think we are going to just keep a close eye on that low pressure that runs through, say, Thursday, Friday, just as it takes its time to clear away, pushing up against that high pressure. It may be lingering a little bit longer, so keep an eye on the forecast. But for the start of next week, generally looking like a dry one. That's it from me. Kia pai te rā.